Welcome back, dear students. Hope you all are doing fine. Once again, I'm with you. As you all know, I'm Santosh Kumar Jain from Department of Commerce, and here I'm to teach you today the topic called formation of the company. Maybe in the previous classes, you have seen the meaning of company, that is joint stock company, and their different forms of company like public company, private company, and all. So I hope and I remember when I taught you the topic called sole proprietorship, there I was focusing that legal formalities are not involved in case of sole proprietorship. But here, when we talk about a company, as in the meaning, maybe my colleague might have explained you about the meaning of company, where we see that it is a artificial person and it comes into existence because of the operation of the law, and it is guided by the Companies Act. So today we are going to learn how to form a company. To form a company, we have to follow some steps. And what are those steps that we are going to discuss in this particular session? Very interesting topic this is. And the contents, what I am going to discuss with you, you can see they are first I am going to discuss with you all about the meaning and steps. Then we'll see what are the stages of promotion, promoter, and incorporation of the company. So, to start with, what do we mean by formation of company? Forming in the sense bringing. So, if you want to establish a company, you have to fulfill some formality. So, we say that establishment of a company by fulfilling the formalities is called formation of a company. And to form a company, we have different stages, different steps we can call, and there are 4 steps. First we call as the promotion, second we call incorporation, third we call as capital subscription, and fourth we call as commencement of business. Now each step we are going to discuss in detail. So the first stage is called promotion stage. Now when we look about the promotion stage, we have 4 stages in the promotion. The first is you have to discover an idea. Second, we have to do investigation. Third, we have to assemble the requirements. And then the fourth one is financial proposition. Discovery of idea means first you have to think about what kind of business you are going to select. That is business line we call. What type of business we want to start. Whether we want to enter into a textile firm, telecommunication firm, like that. First you have to decide. Think about selecting the business line. And when you form an idea, don't just blindly form the idea. As a promoter, as a person, you have to form an idea based on the prospects of the business, how the future will be. Don't think for the short term, that is for day or two. So we think about the future, how the prospects will be. And then we'll make a detailed investigation. Like with regards to, we'll try to estimate the demand, how the demand is for that particular product, or what service we are going to give, what kind of demand is existing in the market, whether the factors of production, called the labor, material, machine, whether they are easily available or not. Like that, first we need to do the detailed investigation. And then once the investigation is done, you have to assemble. Assembling in the sense bringing together all the requirements. All the requirements like selecting the place, not only men, material, labor, but we have to bring the place also, select the place also. We need the directors for the company. We need to make necessary contacts with the suppliers and enter with them into contracts, agreements, what we call, so that they can supply the requirements called machine, material, whatever we need on time. And then comes the finance. The most important part is finance. Generally, there are two ways for the company where we see the financial propositions. In the sense, what should be the proportionate of finance? Then the first is you can go for issuing the shares and debentures, and second is we can borrow from banks. If we issue the shares and debentures, what is the importance? That we'll see in the next chapters. And if we borrow from banks, how it is helping to do the, collect the finance, that also we are going to see in the next session. Then comes the promoter. Stages of promotion, we said there are 4 stages, and in that we need someone who can conceive the idea, who can do some preliminary work. We need an individual. We need a person who can do some work. And the person who is the individual who takes the initiative to do the work of bringing or forming a company is called as promoter. And as a promoter, he is the one who conceives the idea, in the sense who gets an idea in the mind to start a business. Then he makes all the preliminary investigations, as I told you, of men, material, labor, appointment of directors, entering into contracts, all the things. And then he is the one who brings all the factors of production together. As you know, there are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and organization. Not only this, the real theme of the company starts with documentation. Necessary documents are there which has to be prepared to get your company incorporated. It's not like a sole trader or partnership where we can start the business as and when we like. No, we have to fulfill the formalities. And for fulfilling the formalities, we have to prepare documents like what memorandum of association we have, articles of association we have. Later we'll prepare prospectus. Like that we'll prepare different documents which will touch in commencement of business. That is the next topic when we'll see. Then how to raise the money, from where to raise the money, whether are we supposed to issue the shares or debentures or borrow from bank. That also has to be taken as a function of the promoter. And then entering into various agreements, he has to contact the people who are ready to help, who are ready to supply various assets for the company and all. That are the functions of the promoter. Then comes the types of promoters, like we have professional promoters, accidental promoters, financial promoters, technical promoters, institutional and entrepreneur promoters. Then comes the procedure. This is the most important procedure. Tomorrow you may have your own company. You may plan to start a company. Then that time you should not have a blank mind how to start the company. So let us learn how to form a company, how to incorporate a company. Incorporating is nothing but bringing a company into existence, getting registered a company. So for that we have 3 main processes. First one is you have to fill application form. Okay, we have to fill application form for getting the name of the company approved. That is most important. You are eligible, you are free, I can say, to adopt any name for your company. But that name, proposed name, I can say, should not be objectionable in the National Emblems Act, that is Names Act. 1950 has given some names which we are not supposed to use, like name of king, queen and all that. And once you are filling the proposal form for the proposed name, that is application, you can expect the registrar. Registrar is no one but the officer, we can call, one who is going to give you the approval. We can expect that within 14 days, okay, within 14 days, he can approve the name of the company. Then, as I said, the second part, the second stage is where you have to prepare the documents. The first and the foremost document is Memorandum of Association. Very important document. Without this, you cannot form a company, because this document is one which is like the constitution of the company, which is going to describe the whole object of the company, scope of the company, and what type of relationship you are going to maintain with the outsiders, that it is going to define. And this document is to be carefully drafted, because once we draft this document and it gets approved, it's very difficult to change the contents of memorandum. Thereby, very carefully we have to draft the document called Memorandum of Association, and it must be signed at least by 7 members if it is a public company, and if it is a private company, 1 member can sign. Then comes the next document called Articles of Association. It is a supportive document, we can say, to the Memorandum of Association. Equally important document which is going to lay down the bylaws of the company. That is for the internal management. For the internal management. And that contains all the rules and regulations which will help the company for the internal management. We call it as bylaws also. And they say that it is very important for the private company to have their own articles of association. If it is a private company, as you have studied, a company with 1 lakh capital and all, those type of company, they have to have their own articles of association. But if it is a public company, they can adopt table A, schedule 1 instead of their own articles of association, which is already there. Those guidelines they can use as articles of association. Then comes the next stage where you have to prepare other documents like consent of directors, power of attorney, then your notice of the registered office where you are going to have your corporate office, then particulars of all the directors, how many directors are there, their names, their address, everything. And then a statutory form form number 1, we have to prepare, and in that we have to mention that whatever details are given, all are true. They all are true. And then along with the payment of registration fees, whatever is prescribed by the Companies Act, along with that registration fees, we have to submit these documents, that is memorandum, your declarations and all, to the registrar. Okay, you have to submit that to the registrar, and registrar will accept your file, whatever you are going to give the document, he will verify. Within no time he is not going to give, he is going to verify all the documents thoroughly, and if he is satisfied that all the details are true, all the details are correct, perfect, then he will issue a certificate, and that certificate is called Certificate of Incorporation, which is like a birth certificate, I can say, which is like a birth certificate. And that certificate, listen carefully, this is the point, this is the theme now. And with that certificate, a private company can commence the business with certificate of incorporation. But public company cannot start the business. They have to fulfill one more formality. There is one more formality which they have to fulfill. Okay, and that is collecting the minimum subscription amount. Once they collect the minimum subscription amount, then they will, given certain time, the public company people, that is the directors of the public company, will be given some time. They have to collect the minimum subscription amount, which is called as 90% of the amount within 120 days. Keep in mind, how much ever is the capital the company has decided to issue raise through shares, in that they have to collect at least 90% of the issue amount within 120 days from the public. And if they are able to collect within 120 days that amount, then the registrar will give them another certificate, which is called as certificate of commencement of business. And with that certificate of commencement of business, a public limited company can start the business. That certificate is valid for 1 year. Within 1 year, they have to commence the business. Let us continue with the formation of the company. In the last class, in the previous session, I was teaching with you all about how we form a company. And I told you that some documents are there. Now let us see those documents in detail. So commencement of business, in the sense, if you want to start a company, what are the 3 documents we need? The first 2 documents called Memorandum of Association and Articles of Association, irrespective of the nature, whether it is a public company or the private company, we have to prepare. And prospectus is an invitation which is prepared only by the public company. Now we are going to see in detail what do you mean Memorandum of Association. Memorandum of Association is an important document which explains the relationship of the company with the outside world. It is a constitution of the company, we can say, and on that the entire structure of the company is built. And this has 6 clauses. As you can see, first is the name clause, registered office clause, objects clause, liability clause, capital clause, and association clause. Name clause is the clause which states the name of the company. As in the proposal form we saw that we can select any name for our company, but that name should not contain the words like king, queen, or any of the government body. And along with that, it should not be objectionable under Emblems and Names Act of 1950. The most important point of the name clause is that the name of the company, how it must end. If it is a private company, 100% you have to end the name with the private limited. You can write private limited, or we can write PVT, full stop LTD. But if it is a public company, then the name must end with limited. Compulsory limited. Abbreviation we can write LTD also. This is about name clause. Then the second clause comes registered office clause, which is also called as situation clause or domicile clause. This clause, it is going to state the address, the name of the state in which your office is, corporate office which we call. Now a doubt may come, can we have the corporate office or the registered office somewhere else also? Yes, it's not compulsory that where you are locating your company, there we should have our registered office. You can have even your registered office somewhere in other part of the state also. For example, if I am having my company in Hyderabad, I can have my registered office even in Mumbai. That's not an issue. But the clause says that if at all, if you are not having a registered office, if you are not able to get the place when we are getting the company incorporated, in that case, what we can do is within 30 days, we can select the place and we have to intimate the address to the registrar of the company. So this is also called as situation clause or domicile clause. Then comes objects clause, purpose. In the sense, this clause is going to define the purpose of the company for what we are going to form the company. And within that objects clause, whatever purpose, whatever nature we have going to do activity, we have to do within that limit. If you do any activity which is beyond your objects clause, then it is treated as illegal, ultra vires. And this has 2 objects. One is main object and other objects we have which is going, and the main purpose of this is to protect the interest of the shareholders and creditors. And this object, it ensures that whatever fund is given by the shareholders or creditors, it is safe. And then comes the liability clause. This clause says that liability of members, in the sense shareholders, is limited to the extent of the shares what they are going to hold, or whatever shares they have purchased, to that extent only their liability is involved. In the sense, they don't have unlimited liability like your partnership firm or your sole trader firm. And then comes the capital clause. In the sense, this clause is going to state the maximum amount, how much a company can have the capital. Whatever amount of capital we mention in the capital clause, that we call it as registered capital, authorized capital, or nominal capital we call it. And beyond that, the company cannot issue the share. And this particular capital clause, it also contains the division of the shares. As we know, there are two types of shares. One, we have equity and preference shares. So what we do is that share capital, we divide into small parts, each category with their value and all. And along with that, this clause also emphasizes on the rights, what rights and privileges the shareholders they get. As you know, equity shareholders, they will get voting right, whereas preference shareholders, they will get privilege of getting the dividend. Like that, the rights and privileges are mentioned in the capital clause. And then comes the association clause, which contains the signature of all the people who are involved in drafting the memorandum, their address, their occupation. And that association clause, it declares that whatever they have agreed to incorporate the company is 100% accurate. And this association clause, it must be signed by 7 people in case of public company and 2 in case of private company. Like that, we have the first document called Memorandum of Association. Then we have Articles of Association. As I told you, the second document which is needed for internal management of the company. It lays down all the bylaws for the company, which governs how to manage the company, how to get the objectives covered, whatever we have laid in the Memorandum of Association. In the last class also I told you that this is a supporting document. We can say it is a subordinating document which helps to achieve the goals of Memorandum of Association. So we can see like how the contents are. These are the contents, like what is the procedure for issuing the shares and debentures. We have to give the official notice in the official newspaper called Gazette. How we give that procedure is laid. Then how to transfer the shares or forfeiture the shares. Forfeiture means cancellation of shares. Some shareholders, after buying the shares, after applying for the shares, they may pay some amount and they may fail to pay remaining amount. That time, after intimating them for several times, if they don't turn up, then we may cancel their name from the register of the shareholders. That is called forfeiture of shares. Then how to appoint the directors. How many directors to be appointed? What are their powers? What are their duties? How much amount of remuneration, in the sense salary and all, should be given? When to conduct the meeting? Why we need to conduct the special meeting? What do you mean by voting? In the sense, what are the voting is the power given to the equity shareholders, where they can participate in electing the directors. Like that, we have proxies. Proxies in the sense, sometimes a equity shareholder may not be able to attend the meeting. Then on his behalf, someone else can attend the meeting. That is called proxy. Like that, those rules are there. Then we have the provisions relating to dividend and reserves. Dividend is nothing but the portion of the profit which is supposed to be distributed among the shareholders. Whatever profit they get, that again they have to divide among the shareholders. That is called dividend. and some portion of profit they have to keep aside, which is called reserve. Like that, how and where the common seal is to be used. Common seal, in the sense the stamp of the company, how it is to be used and with whom it should be. Generally, it will be with the secretary of the company because it is very important. It can be misused if it is given in the hands of other people. Like that, the common seal. Then how the bank account is going to be maintained, whether it is joint bank account, whose signatures are applicable, all that is mentioned, along with how to wind up the company. There will be a procedure, because there is a procedure involved to start the company. Like that, there is a procedure involved to wind up the company, not like your sole proprietorship or partnership where you feel tomorrow I want to close the company, you can close. No, here we have a procedure to wind up the company, which is called liquidation of the company, that we mentioned in articles of association. And then prospectus. This is a document which is prepared only and only by the public company. After getting the certificate of incorporation, as we said, the public company has to collect money within 120 days. So in that span, they will prepare one invitation. They are going to prepare one invitation and circulate among the public, asking the public to subscribe, purchase in the shares of the company. And that document is called prospectus, and which contains the details like what the address of the company, name of the company, signatures of all the people who were there in the drafting of memorandum, details of board of directors, how much is the minimum subscription, what are the particulars of the shares, their value, and how the money is to be paid. Generally, they don't collect all the money in one lump sum amount. The capital of the company, that the face value of the company, is divided into small parts. One we call application, allotment, like that the installment they have to pay. So how the money is to be paid, then who are the auditors of the company, all that details are mentioned in the prospectus. And this is again a very important document, because if anything is wrong in this document, it gives liability. Okay, it gives liability, and there are two types of liability. One we call civil liability and one we call criminal liability. In the civil liability, what will happen? The company will be liable to pay only compensation to the people who have subscribed for the shares and debentures. But if it is a criminal liability, if the court decides that it is to be taken as a criminal liability, then they will impose a fine of 50,000 or imprisonment, means you will be behind the bars, jail, or up to 2 years, or both it can take place. Like that, we have the criminal liability and civil liability. Then comes the next topic called statement in lieu of prospectus. It is nothing but it is a substitute for the prospectus, which is contained in the part 1 of schedule 3, and it is filed with the registrar by a public company if the capital is raised privately. Keep in mind, if the public company thinks that they don't want to raise the capital from the public privately, in the sense among themselves when they want to raise, then we use this particular statement in lieu of prospectus.